reach.
Exactly.
For me, it really, the Rosen Method is the way to the self.
Yeah.
And to really get in contact with yourself. And it changes the way you look at things. It changed my body. It changed the way I think and feel. It really did change my life and change the trajectory of my life, because it's what I do now.
This is Danny Ross, your host. So today I have a great lady that I met in Javea, and I went to a class of yoga. She's a great teacher now. I'm going to ask Francesca to introduce herself. Who is Francesca?
Yes. Hi.
Francesca.
Hi,
Okay.
thank you, Danny. I'm Francesca Stutely. I teach yoga. I'm a yoga instructor, and also I'm a Rosen Method practitioner. And it's a form of body work. So we're on a massage table and we work with breath and muscle tension. So it's not a pamper massage, it's a body work. And we're looking for the emotional connection underneath the held muscles, the tension. So that's our aim, is to relax the body, relax the person, and to find out what's going on, how they're doing underneath just their body. What's going on, how they're feeling. So we're looking for that deep connection so the person can connect with themselves.
Okay, and you know what? I had a massage, and actually it's true. It's very special. You can get very emotional. You can get, and has nothing to do with a classical massage. But how did all that story started? So with Francesca, where did you? What did lead you at that? Yes.
To this. So I went travelling. I'm from London. I grew up in London, England, and I didn't go to university. I wanted to get out and I wanted to see the world and I wanted to feel. So I went travelling with a friend. We went through Asia, went through Australia and the States. And when I was in Asia, we went to India and Nepal, and I got really sick. And this was within 6 weeks of going travelling, this great big worldwide trip. And I got deli belly, which everybody gets, which is an upset stomach.
Deli belly.
So I had deli belly, this upset stomach, and then it got worse and worse. And we were going from Nepal to Thailand, and on the plane I felt really sick. And we got to Thailand, and I got taken to hospital, because I was delirious and not feeling great at all. And they kept me in hospital for a week. And I was very ill, very weak, and then we flew on to Australia as we had planned. I had to stay in Thailand to get better because I was very weak, lost a lot of weight. And when we got on the plane to Australia, my knees and my feet started swelling up like grapefruits from nowhere, and I couldn't stand up on my own legs. It was very frightening. I was 21.
Yes.
And so they had to get a wheelchair to get me off the plane, and we were just flabbergasted. We were just like, what's happening? I've never experienced anything like it. So then we got in a taxi and went to another hospital. So we got from hospital to hospital. My friend called it round the world in 80 hospitals. So we were always in a clinic or a hospital with me, my problem.
Yeah.
So we went to a hospital, and they took me in, and nobody knew what was wrong with me. I was a young, healthy 21-year-old, and then all of a sudden I had it was arthritis.
Arthritis at 21,
yeah.
Which is very abnormal.
It was reactive arthritis from food poisoning.
Food poisoning, okay.
But they didn't know how to treat me, and they pumped me full of drugs, and sometimes I came out of hospital. Sometimes I was okay, sometimes I wasn't. My joints were stiff, my elbows, my thumbs. They tested me for all sorts of things, lupus, and had an internist look at my organs, tested me for all sorts of things, but no one could really find out exactly what it was. But I was given drugs to help me get rid of the pain so that I could walk and take the inflammation down.
Okay.
So we continued to travel on and off and on and off. I could walk and then I couldn't. My friend carried 2 backpacks, and we went to the States, and I went to see different people. To cut a very long story short, I had some homeopathic treatment, which really helped me and changed my diet. And that really got me on the road to recovery, but it was my own sort of journey. It's like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, you knew inside of you something was wrong.
And I knew that the drugs worked temporarily and took me out of pain, but they didn't get to the root of the problem. So a couple of years later, I went back to the States, and I was looking after kids and cleaning houses and stuff, and I worked for a woman, and she came home one day and she said she had a massage and she cried. I was like, oh, sounds interesting. Why would you cry having a massage?
Yeah,
that's release.
Yeah, that's
what is
release.
this?
Yeah.
So I went and I booked up and had a massage with this lady called Sara Webb. And
what's her name?
And then Sara Webb.
Sara Webb.
She's in California.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's called the Rosen Method because Marion Rosen started it and taught Sara Webb. And so I had this session on a massage table, and the woman put her hands on me, and I didn't really feel like she was doing very much.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, what's she doing?
Yes.
You know, and then all of a sudden she asked me a couple of questions, and I started to cry and sobbed, and I didn't realise how angry I was for different reasons. I just thought I was fine. I was going around the world partying. I thought I was fine. I thought I was having a great time, but I never really looked inwards as to what I was doing. Really.
Yeah, because it was hidden.
It was hidden, definitely. Suppressed, put away, hidden.
Denial, everything.
Exactly,
yes.
Yeah, denial. And then after that, I walked down the street and I felt exhausted and elated at the same time.
What elated?
Elated, very happy.
Happy.
Uplifted.
Okay, uplifted.
Uplifted, peaceful. I'd let go of so much. I didn't know what I'd let go of, but I just felt relief.
Finally.
Like I've felt an inner peace that I'd never ever felt before. And I remember walking down the street, Rose Street in Berkeley, thinking, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to learn it. And then when I've learned it, I'm going to teach it. It was just like a light bulb moment for me. So I looked into the school, I did an introductory workshop for the weekend, and then I signed up for the course. And which in those days it was a 2-year course.
Yes.
And you go once a week. And I was in Marion's class. I was very lucky.
Yeah.
Didn't really realise. I was like, oh yeah, I'm with this old lady called Marion Rosen, and she's going to teach me this thing. And now she's the great Marion Rosen. I didn't realise that I was with the actual found. I didn't know, but I didn't realise what value that had.
Okay. And
so I was in her class with Gloria Hessland for 2 years, and you do a lot of work on yourself. You get rid of a lot of your own tensions. It's like personal development. Okay. Really getting in touch with yourself, realising your behaviours, and through letting go of negative feelings, things change.
Naturally.
They change.
Totally.
I changed, my body changed. I used to walk like that, ready for a fight.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I used to be heavier, carry more weight, let go of all that. And it completely changed the way I thought and the way I felt, and it just felt totally right for me to be learning it at that time, and it was life-changing for me. Yeah.
So that was really, really, really life-changing. And this lady called Mary Rosen,
yes.
She's American. I mean,
she was German. She was German actually.
She was German.
Yeah, she was German, and she lived in Berkeley, in California, where I happened to be. My sister lived there. She still lives there, and so it was just lining up, and I was supposed to be there, and that's where she taught from.
Yeah, and then do you know how did she start that?
Yeah, she started it. She was a physiotherapist.
Okay.
And she found that when she talked to people and touched them and noticed their breath changed, and they started to talk about themselves and what they were feeling, she noticed a change in the body and a change in the muscles and a letting go. So she developed it from then. She helped people with all their different ailments. And then a couple of people said to her, well, you can teach this. And she used to say, I don't know what it is, but I know what it does.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
I don't know what it is, but I know what it does. Yeah.
So that's from that moment you were like, because she could have even thought like she could have been a healer. So, but she knew it was through touching.
Through touching and through the breath.
and
Yeah.
the breath. Yeah. Let's talk about the breath, because you know, when
It's the key. It's the key to this work, is the breath. So obviously we're all breathing, otherwise we'd be dead.
Yes.
We're breathing all the time. But our breath can be short and it can be held. And when we have a muscle that there's no movement in the breath, it can be stiff or numb or rock hard. You know, sometimes you hug someone and they're very soft and open.
Yes.
You can feel them.
Yeah.
Other people, you're like, oh, they feel really straight.
Yes.
They're like resistant.
Totally.
Whatever.
Yeah.
We encourage the breath to come into the muscle, but we're working with the breath. So we reflect back to the body how it's holding itself.
Okay.
Because we create this armour around ourselves. Sometimes you can see it in somebody. We learn to body read, so you can see if someone's walking along like
Yes.
that, they're sticking their chest
Yes.
out, or you know, the way somebody moves. But also, sometimes you can't really tell until you put somebody on the table and you really look at the body and the way the muscles lie, and the structure of the body and how it holds itself.
So when you see somebody arriving to get a treatment with you, and already you see the body language, and then you mean when the person is on the table, already you can feel or know where are the tension?
Yeah, sometimes you can see it, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes, it's a combination of both. The way somebody walks into the room, it's the way somebody holds themselves, the way somebody speaks, slow, fast. I know I speak really quickly, but I remember my supervisor used to call me the racehorse.
Yes.
You know, I'm one of 6 kids. And
Yes.
I used to
Yes.
speak really quickly to be heard.
Yeah.
You know, and I used to jut my chin out as well, like trying to get my work in.
It's like me, I speak loud, and sometimes I have to, it's totally unconscious.
Yes.
But it's good what you said. Probably I was the last one too, and I wanted you to be heard.
To be heard.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's the beginning.
Yeah. And it's interesting, Danny, you use the
Yeah.
word unconscious, because we're working with the unconscious body. That's the key, is the breath and the unconscious body. Like, what is going on underneath what we think the tension is?
When the mind thinks.
When the mind
Yeah.
thinks. So instead of thinking, we're trying to get the person to feel. So they might say, oh, I think this, I think that. Well, that's not a feeling. We're getting to the feeling. Well, what do you feel? And then some people say, I feel nothing. So that's an indicator. Well, we can't not feel anything. You can feel somebody touching you,
Of course.
but what's underneath that nothing? There's numbness or resistance or retreat or pushing away. There's
Yeah.
always something. There's never nothing. There's always something. So we might stay in that nothing. It's okay to feel nothing.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay to feel nothing.
Okay.
Because we might stay for a long time in the same place, pointing that person out. Can you feel anything there? Oh yeah, I can feel your. Can you feel my hands? Yeah. What do they feel like? Oh, it might feel uncomfortable, comfortable, whatever. We can't predict what somebody's going to feel.
Okay.
But we do stay with that uncomfortable bit of, what is it? What is this nothing? Was there a time in your life where you froze? You know, we're dealing with the nervous system. Fight, flight, freeze, or even befriend.
Yeah.
So we react to our environment about what's going on, especially as children. We just react.
Yes, totally.
We are products of our environment.
And it gets blocked in our body, in our
Absolutely.
fascias, and all,
Exactly. We're
Yeah.
kind of dealing with the fascia, that electric
around the
nose, all
Yes.
over. We're vibrating
Yeah.
bodies.
Yeah.
So that's.
So, would you say that people, after getting your treatment, your massage, can it change the life of people?
I can only speak for myself. It changed my life and it changed my body. It changed my outlook. We have our belief states and the way that we think and feel. And sometimes on the table, somebody will realise, oh, I've been acting like this because of my environment, but I don't have to act like that anymore. So it does change.
It does change.
But it can't guarantee it. It changed
No.
I can only speak for myself.
Yes,
And
yes.
there are many different ways to to do self-healing or self-development work. For me, it's always the Rosen Method. I always think of it like the Heineken advert. It reaches the parts that other beers don't reach.
Exactly.
For me, it really, the Rosen Method is the way to the self. And to really get in contact with yourself. And it changes the way you look at things. It changed my body. It changed the way I think and feel. It really did change my life and change the trajectory of my life, because it's what I do now, and it doesn't feel like work. It's just something that I do, and I've recently been asked to teach it, so I'm going to start to teach the introductory workshop weekends.
Yeah, and what you say is, when this treatment, what really helps, of course, it takes all the negative unconscious in you, like to be angry, to be sad, to be that, and it brings you after so much joy.
Exactly.
That's what you told me. Yeah,
well, it's what you feel. What if you felt that?
Yes,
when there's a lot of negativity, that takes up so much space in our body and in our psyche. When you allow yourself to feel it, then there leaves the space for the joy and for the love.
Because we born for that, because you see, when you see a child at the beginning, like he does not have all this information, and he can try unless he's sick, but it's full of joy and curious and all that. And there was, when we were like talking before, we talked about vulnerability, and it really touched me, because actually that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now, interviewing people after the cancer. When I said that I became so vulnerable after, and I had a big ego, and I realized that in the vulnerability, it's the biggest strength. So in your words, could you explain us that with this, you say vulnerability is your truth?
Yes, it's your strength,
And truth.
And your truth, because we can act a certain way. But until we speak our truth and act from our place of truth and our heart, that's the only kind of way to be, and to be aligned with yourself. That's your realness. That's who you are.
The reason to be,
The reason to be. And some people look at vulnerability. You've got to be strong. You've got to hold it together. You've got to. You've got to have that. It's got to be strong. You can't be vulnerable. But actually, that is where the strength is, because that is your truth.
And I can talk for myself, because I lived it, and I connected so much. And it's so funny, because whenever I hear the word vulnerability, it nearly brings tears in my eyes, but it's not sadness. It's a kind of joy.
It's the truth.
It's the truth. It's my truth.
Yes.
No more masks, no more. That's why now more and more I don't care about what people think about me, because I know my truth, I know where I'm connected and all that,
And when you live from your place of truth, nothing can knock you off that. Because you're not pretending to be something else. It helps you to get who you really are. That's what Marion used to say. It gets you to a place from not who you think you are to who you really are. And in the end, she says, you can't be anyone else. We all try to be something else.
Without knowing it.
Exactly, unconsciously.
And it's always there, and I always to arrive to awareness, And so, are they, because I live in Canada, Montreal, even if I want to be more in Javea sometimes, but is there places where they teach that?
Yes, there are different institutes. That in the States, there's an institute in England, in France, in Austria, in Germany. I'm the only practitioner in Spain at the moment. We hope to expand that. There's in Canada as well. I think it's in Toronto. There's a practitioner. I was on a boat in the Cayman Islands, and I was talking to a lady, and she asked me what I did, and I told her. And she said, oh, it sounds really interesting. So I looked up where the nearest person was, and it was like 5 minutes down the road from her. She couldn't believe it. So she went and had some sessions. So you can go and have a session. You have to look it up on the Rosen Institute. It's listed on the website. But we are around, and it's growing.
Because I know thought I knew a lot of things, but we always learn new things. And and you eventually you're going to be teaching it. Oh yeah, my last question was, do some people, I mean, they can really get it after once, but sometimes do you have to come back many times?
That's a really interesting question, Danny. I've done, I don't know how many sessions, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds,
Yes,
probably into the thousands. Sometimes things can change in one session. They really can. Well, it did for me, my first session. I'm like, wow,
Yes.
I had no idea.
Yes.
But, you know, I've received many, many sessions, obviously. You can really get, our work is never done, our learning is never done. So you can get a lot out of one session. Or maybe I have some people who come once a month, or some people who come every week while they're having a bit of a bad time. It's always the negative stuff we hold on to.
Okay.
The joy and the love and everything else we feel.
Yeah.
You know, we feel it. We let it be present in our lives. It's the things we stuff down, or if people are having a stressful time, they come more regularly.
Okay, I understand.
But it's still valuable to have one session.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, because number one, the first session, it's like you discover that you like it. Did you have people, by the way, we really did not like it, who came out and said,
I've never had that.
Never? Never
Because
happened.
it's a very non-judgmental procedure.
Of course.
So you're being really present with somebody in the moment. So when you're really present with somebody, that's the juice of life.
Yeah,
that's the beginnings of Buddhism, you know, is to be
it's a
absolutely
connection
here now.
Yeah, yeah.
So to have somebody be with you and hold you in your space in the present moment is such a beautiful experience. Whether they're crying or whether they're full of joy or peace or whatever. So if we were all like that all the time, then that is the essence and the elixir of life, is to be present. And that's what we're taught, is to be present.
And that's why we try.
That's why nobody dislikes it. You can't dislike it.
No.
Nobody dislikes being present.
Yes.
Unless you're trying to run away
from
whatever
Unless
it is.
you are in a very unhappy place,
Yes.
you don't want to be in the present.
No.
You want to run
No,
out.
you want to run away
Exactly.
and you're addicted to something to get away from these feelings.
Yes,
you know?
yeah. So that's very interesting. Now that I think we are at the end of our interview, you're not going to escape to my question. If there was a message you would like to leave to our listeners, what is it?
I would say, if you can, try and have a Rosen Method bodywork session. We can talk about things and describe it, but every single session is different, and we have to feel, instead of think and be intellectual about it. The gift is to feel. So if you have the opportunity to have a session, please do. And I run retreats, and where we include the Rosen Method.
Yes, and by the way, you have an Instagram page on the name of Francesca Yoga. So you can go on a page, you can subscribe, you can, and then actually that's what I did. And yes, you do a lot of retreats. You even did one in Tulum.
No.
No? There was something in Tulum. Or you were with somebody.
I have never been to Tulum.
You have never been, but me, when I look, or either it was one of the people walking with you or yoga or something, but it was on your Insta page.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to go to Tulum. Yeah, I'm very happy to do
yoga
and Rosen in Tulum as well.
Yeah, I'm sure, because I go regularly. Tulum and Olbosch in Mexico, my two favorite places.
Nice.
And you know what? We'll talk about it, because you definitely should go there and make a retreat, because I never heard of that.
Yes.
So that was your message. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Danny.
It was great. And you don't forget to subscribe. Share it with your friend. Share it with your family. Because thanks to you, I can go and do an interview with very interesting people like Francesca. So thank you.